and welcome to LCTV News. I'm Medina Sehi. In this edition of LCTV News, a police impersonator, a new diner opens, the annual Vietnam Memorial, and much more. A Lynn resident was charged with impersonating a police officer after reports of a robbery on Iona Terrace. The suspect, who was identified as 33-year-old Christian Alvarez, stole a woman's wallet after identifying himself as an officer. He fled the scene shortly after. After responding to the call, Lynn police spotted the victim in a vehicle on Broad Street. After being approached by officers, Alvarez fled the scene with officers in pursuit. The pursuit would go on towards Union Street, where Alvarez backed into a police cruiser. The chase ended on Silsby Street after Alvarez crashed into a tree and attempted to flee on foot. Alvarez suffered multiple injuries and was transported to Mass General Hospital. While investigating, Lynn police received 2 additional reports of robberies with a similar suspect and vehicle description. It is believed that Alvarez targeted Hispanic victims. Alvarez was arraigned in Lynn District Court on April 9th, and the police are looking into the other robberies that are possibly connected to Alvarez. The annual Vietnam War Memorial Ceremony took place at City Hall on April 6th. This event was created to honor those who served, fought, and died during the Vietnam War. The ceremony was hosted by the Lynn's Veterans Council and was put together by the Department of Veterans Services. Many residents as well as elected officials were on hand to thank those who served in the war. The director of the Department of Veterans Services, Mike Sweeney, says this event is something many cities could not put together. He said, "Not every city and town does this in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts." Vietnam veterans were not the only ones honored at the ceremony. Mitch Ramone, a World War II veteran and a prisoner of war, was also honored. He received a standing ovation for his service. Mayor McGee and Senator Brendan Crichton were in attendance and briefly addressed the crowd about the importance of this ceremony. McGee said, "This represents the 45th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War. We come to honor those who served, fought, and died in the Vietnam War." Crichton said, "Very honored and proud to be from the city of Lynn, a city that recognizes all of our veterans and never forgets the sacrifices that they have made." The Spring Teen Drop-In Center at Lynn Tech's Fieldhouse is underway. The Drop-In Center, which was organized by Lynn Parks and Recreation and the Lynn Police Department, is open to all local teens and runs every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. This is a safe place for teens to go on a Friday night. The Drop-In Center occurs during the winter, spring, and summer seasons, serving pizza each visit. 18-year-old Pedro Morales comes to the Drop-In Center every week. He says it really helps a lot because it helps kids stay out of trouble and gives them an outlet other than the streets. North Shore Community College held its forum on tolerance this past Thursday, focusing on race, power, and privilege. The forum began with a presentation from attorney Joseph Berman, a general counsel at Board of Bar Overseers of the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts. Berman spoke about the line between free speech and hate speech. Berman said, "What you saw in Charlottesville and what we saw in Massachusetts and in Boston and throughout the United States are things that challenge our notion of tolerance." The forum concluded with the panel discussion, which featured Susan Girard, a professor at North Shore Community College, Jose Palma, and Reverend Andre Bennett. All 3 panelists spoke on their work fighting for social justice and the experience that they had with social injustice. North Shore Community College holds 2 tolerance forums during the school year, one in the fall and one in the spring. This year marked the 27th straight year this college has held these forums. There is a new breakfast and lunch diner in Lynn, and they are making some strong claims. BLT, located on Broad Street, is a locally owned diner-esque restaurant. They aspire to make the best food in Lynn by having specialty eggs Benedict to creative stuffed burgers to soups. One twist in this restaurant is that there are some Hispanic-style dishes. Their most important quality is their customer service. Chef of BLT, Ron Brown, says the object is to provide good service, great food, nice atmosphere, and just to make our customers feel at home. BLT is open from Monday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m., on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., and on Sunday, which is breakfast only, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. They claim that they are one of the hidden gems of Lynn, but would also love to gain improvement from any customer feedback. Beyond the Wall held its kickoff at the Lynn Museum, and LCTV was on the scene. Beyond the Walls held its season kickoff at the Lynn Museum with more than 500 attendees. The kickoff is part of their fundraising campaign to raise $50,000 that will go towards the 2nd annual Mural Festival. Joselina Santos, who's been a part of Beyond the Walls for the past 2 years, is looking forward to this year's festival.
Part of the Beyond the Walls for me was satisfactory to see the city change through art, to see the community came together, to see new perspective for the community in Lynn and beautify the city.
Chris Whitlock, a longtime Lynn resident, says the mural project captures the vision many artists have of Lynn.
I've been living and working in Lynn for about 32 years, and in all of that time, I've never seen anything that sort of captured the imagination of the people in Lynn, like this mural project.
The mural project is another way of uniting the city through the arts.
It's great to have something where the community comes out, watches the project, watches the murals being made, and it's like art in real time happening in a city.
The second annual Mural Festival will be a 13-day event from August 6th until August 19th. Lynn's Cambodian residents celebrated Cambodian New Year this past weekend. The festivities began with the flag-raising ceremony last Tuesday, and LCTV was on the scene. The 9th annual Cambodian flag raising took place at City Hall this past Tuesday. Kivarath Sang, who organized the event, says the ceremony is in honor of Cambodian New Year.
The actual New Year is on April 14, 15, and 16 every year, and the flag is raised for 3 days in honor of that.
Councillor at Large Hong Net was one of the few city officials who were able to attend the ceremony. Net always looks forward to this event.
I'm very excited. We continue to do this as our tradition right now, so it's our 9th year anniversary of flag raising. And next year, starting from next year on, we're going to start make it bigger.
Despite the cold weather, many in the Cambodian community came out for the ceremony.
It's cold, but I'm excited to see so many people here. It's wonderful, and it's going to be better.
Cambodian New Year began this past Saturday, and on April 28th, there will be a festival at the Lynn Commons beginning at 10 a.m. On this week's Lynn Spotlight, we highlight Raw Arts.
Raw Artworks is a nonprofit organization for the youth in the community. Raw offers their students opportunities to create and develop art. Raw was created nearly 30 years ago and continues to thrive, building friendships and passion. Executive Director Kit Jenkins can agree that our community isn't our community without Raw.
You know, sometimes I think about Central Square, I think about Lynn. Without a Raw, I just imagine, like, if you were to erase this building, or if it was one of a vacant building, I kind of can't imagine, I certainly can't imagine Central Square without the vibrancy and the gallery and the public art and the energy.
Project Launch Coordinator Caitlin Farmer believes that the Lynn community is lucky to have Raw.
Raw is a really special place in the Lynn community. I always say that I wish every community had a Raw. It's not a building you can just replicate and copy. It's a very special place, and what makes this place so special is the people and the art therapists who are here. You know, you come through our doors and you're inspired.
Adriana Lopez agrees that Raw has helped the community in many ways.
There wasn't like any color involved. The kids sharing their arts around, you could see more color and more life into the city. I think Raw has brought color into this community.
Raw Arts offers many programs for students to participate in, such as film, spoken word, print shop, and studio art.
My first piece of advice is to come down to 37 Central Square and come fill out an application. Say hi to the lovely staff here. We have some great people who would love to connect with you.
Folks always ask us, how can they get involved in Raw? And there are so many ways. We're having a career night coming up. We do career night once or twice a year, so they can be in touch if they'd like to share their career path. Folks can get involved by becoming a mentor in our project launch. That's a serious commitment, weekly commitment, but it's a wonderful way to connect with kids.
It's a nonprofit program that benefits a lot of kids later on into the future. And even when you move on out of high school and school, they still help you and they still remember about you. So it's a great way to bond and make a small little family.
Raw is there for kids when they struggle with an art piece or they struggle with a part of their lives.
If I were to describe Raw Artworks in one word, it would have to be community. I think the space that is fostered here is unique, and the relationships that it builds here are long-lasting.
So I would describe Raw in one word. It would be home.
You know, it's hard to describe Raw in one word. To me, Raw stands for so many things. So I think passion and possibilities, if I can have 3 words. That would be what I would say.
RAW is located at 37 Central Square in Lynn, Mass. The doors are always open, Monday through Friday, and they are more than happy to see you.
On this week's Community Connector, we highlight Open Mosque Night, hosted by the Islamic Society of the North Shore. This event was created for residents to have a better understanding of their neighbors who practice Islam.
Every year, we thought the community would like to be introduced to their Muslim neighbors. Many people live in the area. We never get to meet them. We never get to interact with each other because of people's life schedule. We thought this is a good opportunity to invite the community and everybody to our mosque. Hopefully we know about each other, and hopefully we'll end up loving each other.
Very welcoming here, and I look forward to, not just as a counselor and as a neighbor, but as a funeral director, understanding the religious aspects of all cultures. It helps educate me, helps educate everybody else, and it's a community that's always been welcoming, and I look forward to welcoming the Islamic community here in the city.
With all the misconceptions that is going nowadays in the country, around the world, Islam is one of the least religion that is exposed to people in the sense of knowledge and education.
It's an honor to be here today for this is, I believe, the second open house they've had to welcome in folks from all different faiths to learn more about the Islamic community and to just create new relationships.
I think it addresses some of the issues that go on, not just within the city or the state, but nationally and around the world, where there's fears of religion and fears of other cultures, and I think it's more of just of an ignorance from not understanding, and the more we can educate ourselves to the good works that everybody does, and to welcome every community here in the city of Lynn. As a counselor, I think that's my job, and I think it's everybody's job to promote other religions and to share and to learn from them.
I think we need to have more of these types of events. We're a very inclusive city, one that welcomes everybody, regardless of your religion, regardless of your race, what language you speak, anything at all. We're all welcoming here in Lynn. So great to have an event like this. Very proud of this mosque here in the city of Lynn. It's in a great location. Very accessible for folks, and talking to different members of the community of the Muslim faith, it's so important to have something close by to practice their religion. So great to have it.
We believe it is our job to introduce ourselves to the community and to let them know about us, and hopefully they will open up and ask the questions, because once we know each other and educate ourselves about each other, we will be easier to deal with each other and be one community. And we have to be part of the community. We are part of the community. This is our community as well. We are Americans. We are from Massachusetts or from other place, and we need to be a positive force in the community.
On this week's Lynn Lowdown, host Calvin Anderson sat down with Wendy Joseph.
Hi, welcome to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Cal Anderson, LCTV volunteer and the host for this segment. My guest today is no stranger to activism in our city, Wendy Joseph. Welcome to the show, Wendy.
Thank you, Calvin.
Now, Wendy wears a lot of different hats, but I'm going to have her introduce herself, and we're going to focus on a couple in this segment. So welcome to the show, and what's your background in our city?
After moving to the city in '02, I waited about 4 years and then found a community of activism in Lynn that was very, very strong. So I decided to join in, and took a little while, but finally found my specific passion.
There's so many niches to be found in our city. Yours tends to lean towards Frederick Douglass.
It does.
And this is an important year. Tell us why.
This year is the 200th bicentennial of the year of his birth. He, of course, being a slave, didn't know exactly when he was born, but they did get it down to February 1818, and he picked February 14th as his birthday.
Oh, Valentine's Day.
Of course.
We love him for that.
We do.
So what's his significance to our city?
Lynn was one of the first places he came after he escaped slavery. And I believe it was straight from New Bedford. William Lloyd Garrison, who was working in this area and in Boston on the abolitionist newspaper called The Liberator, saw him do a speech and scooped him up. And he lived in Lynn for about 5 years and had 4 different homes, knew a lot of people and did a lot of great work, and had a couple of things actually happen to him while he was living in Lynn.
One of the most interesting stories that I find is what happened at the railroad station, which could happen to anybody just waiting for a train. Mm-hmm. Enlighten us on that, Wendy.
Right, and I'm going to refer to our lovely brochure that is available on Friday, September 28th at 6 p.m. We're going to do a reenactment of what happened. So Frederick Douglass was on the train with James and Buffum, who would become the mayor of Lynn, and another friend, Chase. And he bought a first-class ticket because he was sitting with those men. They were on their way to a speaking engagement, and the conductor came and told him that he had to get into the Jim Crow car. That's the car that's closer up to the engine and all
with
the
all the cinders. Yeah.
Exactly. And he refused to go. Long story short, they threw him out, and the seat of the train that he was holding on to went with him because he wasn't going to go quietly.
So this is going to be reenacted as part of the 200th observance of his birth.
It is, and in addition, Essex Heritage, who does a Trails and Sales event for 2 weeks in September, contacted us, and we are going to be part of the Trails and Sales offerings. So there is a possibility of many more people than would be around locally to come and see this.
All right. So I understand there was a kickoff for the 200th anniversary at our City Hall lobby,
yes,
complete with cake and a reenactor. And there's going to be some other things coming up through the year other than the event in September. Mm-hmm. By the way, who's on the committee? Is there a Frederick Douglass 200th committee?
There is, I'm going to read. There's many more that speak to us only by email, but who, Tom Dalton, who is the writer of this new book, Frederick Douglass, The Lynn Years, Julia Green, Drew Russo and the Lynn Museum, Carolyn Cole, Muriel Clement, Arthur Akers, Bob Foster, Joe Mulligan, Brenda Womack, Roy Rhodes, Daryl Murkitson, and Nicole McLean. A lot of the best and brightest activists that we have around. So the object of this committee's exercise was that all of these different people and all of these different organizations have their own celebrations for Frederick Douglass bicentennial, and we're just marketing them together.
A fusion of events for this man's memory. Now, this is a relatively recently authored book, I understand.
This is a new book. We're very excited to get it
And it's available to the public?
It is soft cover. We've already run out of the first edition, and Tom Dalton was a newspaperman for The Item and also for the Salem Evening News for many, many years, retired, and decided to do a book on Frederick Douglass. And what makes this special is that he went to original sources, which is difficult to do because an awful lot of Lynn's history has been lost in floods or things just weren't available. And he always says that this is his mea culpa. As a newspaperman, he was one of the people that wrote about Frederick Douglass and said some wrong things that now he knows what the right things are after going to those original sources.
I see. This is fantastic. And how do people get a hold of this book?
Well, we're having a lecture and book signing on this book at the Lynn Museum on the 26th of April. And we hope that people go to our Facebook page.
Will the author be there for signing?
The author is going to be doing lecture and signing.
So April 26th is another
that's our next big thing. Right. And also available at that time are going to be the T-shirts for the Frederick Douglass. We have small, medium, and large, and let's see what people actually really need.
Now, I understand that there's a 8th annual event coming up in July. And we should get to that because that's a major placeholder for families who want an alternative to just going to Lynn Shore Drive for the fireworks. Tell us about your event at High Rock Park.
For 8 years now, we have been putting together this community celebration on July 3rd at High Rock Tower. It begins at 6 p.m. And there are many reasons that we started this, but what it has become is a safe, family-friendly event for the people of the Highlands and surrounding areas to come. It's beautiful up at High Rock Tower. It's breezy, and you get a wonderful view of the fireworks that's just as good as if you were in Lynn Shore Drive, because we get to open up High Rock Tower and you can see the fireworks from Lynn Shore Drive and all the surrounding communities going off at the same time. You get a wonderful 360-degree view.
You know, I've personally attended that a couple of times, and it grows every year.
It does.
This last season, it seemed like there must have been 600 to 800 people there by, you know, this is estimates from Associate DPW Director Lisa Narek and Councilor Colucci up there.
This is very important to say. Councilor Colucci has been there from the beginning with funding and support. It was his idea from the very beginning, which we have kept. There are free pony rides, which he pays for all by himself for the children. That's a great favorite from a local company. We also use local vendors. I believe this year it will be food trucks. We want to reflect the diversity of the Highlands, and that will be seen in the vendors. And we also have local talent that we begin the evening before we do the Frederick Douglass speech.
But the important focus is the speech.
It is.
Now, it's a community reading. So tell us about how that works. I think this is wonderful.
A community reading from Mass Humanities, whose event this was originally. They have a 45-minute version of a 4-hour speech that Frederick Douglass made. And it's divided up into 45 paragraphs that take approximately 1 minute to speak. So everybody gets a script, you get in line, and then you go up to the microphone and speak some words that Frederick Douglass spoke close to 150 years ago.
I've heard it a few times, and some of those words still ring true today.
We keep saying every year it can't be more relevant, and it seems to get more and more relevant with each passing year.
So just to wrap up again, what are those 2 important dates?
We have July 3rd for High Rock Tower celebration and fireworks, and April 26th for the lecture and book signing.
All right. Any final reminders or appreciations of Frederick Douglass that you want to share?
Just the reason why this was put together is that we'd like people to know that he was in Lynn. Things did happen he spent some life, and as Julia Green, the great lecturer on our committee, says, he became the Frederick Douglass that we know while he was in Lynn.
I feel parallels with Rosa Parks, and it's nice to know that our city is put on the map in a lot of ways. Thank you, Wendy Joseph, for sharing all of that information about Frederick Douglass and for tipping us off on some save-a-dates.
Thanks.
And thanks for tuning into the Lynn Lowdown.
Thank you for watching LCTV News. Make sure to subscribe to the LCTV YouTube channel and Facebook page to get the latest updates. I'm Medina Sehi, and have a great day.